Hi players, bonjour from Paris, my name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today we're going to do a full review of March of the Ants and its expansions by Ryan Swisher and Tim Eisner. Before we're getting started, I just want to remind you that as a thank you for helping me passing my first milestone of 100 subscribers, I'm doing a free giveaway of Vital Lacerda's The Gallerist. What do you need to do? Just like the video and leave me a comment, and at the end of the month I'll just pull a name out of the hat and we'll send it to you anywhere in the world. So let's get started with our review. March of the Ants is a 4X game in which all the players are going to take the role of an ant colony and will do different actions that we're going to see just in a few more seconds in order to have the most victory points at the end of the fourth or the fifth round and be declared as the winner. March of the Ants is divided into 4 phases. The first and the main one is the worker phase, where players will be able to execute different actions. The second phase is the soldier phase, where we will have a combat in the different contested hexagons, which basically means where we have too many ants. The third phase is the queen phase, where we'll be able to harvest different resources from the meadow. We'll need to feed our ants, and we'll be able to choose which kind of bonus we want for the next round, if it's food or more larvae. The fourth phase is the slumber, where we will score victory points for different criteria and will advance the turn marker in order to start a new one. In the worker phase, we'll be able to do different actions like marching, like exploring new tiles, like drawing new cards or discarding in order to draw another one. We'll be able to play cards which are events or evolution cards in order to upgrade our ants, and even have something that is called colony goals, which is something that we'll be able to score at later phases of the game. At some point when 2 players have taken their rest action, this phase will be over and we'll go to the soldier phase. So right off the bat I can tell you that when I received for the first time March of the Ants, I was a little bit underwhelmed. I thought to myself, can I really have a 4X experience with such a small box? Because usually when we're imagining 4X games, we have in our mind a Twilight Imperium, an Eclipse, and Clash of Cultures, Uprising, Northgard, massive boxes that I was really not sure that I'll be able to have this experience and enjoy with March of the Ants. And then I started to do the setup and learn the game. First of all, let me tell you that the setup here is ridiculously fast. Like in a matter of 5 minutes, even less, the game is already set up and you're good to go for another game. And the more I advanced with this game, with learning it and playing it in a different player count, because this is a solo all the way to 5 players, I understood that yes, from such a small box, you can have a full 4X experience. Another positive thing in this game is the downtime that is almost zero here, because there is some sort of mechanism here that every time one of the players is going to take an action, all the other players will be able to do something that is called a reaction. So that means that if one of the players is doing something, let's say for example march, that means just moving the ants or the larvae, all the other players will be able to move an ant from one place to another adjacent. And if you have an evolution card that goes with this march, you'll be able even to move more. And it goes to other different actions, like maybe discarding a card and taking another one. But in any case, it just feels that you're all the time focused on the table, because for everything that someone will do, you will be able to do something also. If I need to compare it, for example, for Clash of Cultures, I mean, the second that you finished your turn, if another player will do something, especially if it's just maybe the beginning of the game or the opponent is on the other side of the map, you have some time to check your mails, to check your Facebook, to see what's going on with your wife and kids. You have some downtime, but the mechanism in March of the Ants just doing it in a very cool way to keep everyone focused on the table. Another thing that I loved in this game is the fighting mechanism, because we see that in other games, for example, when you have a dice or something like that, and I know that this is something that can be a turnoff for many players. Here, really, your combat is only about hand management and really about the timing when you decided to attack, if you have some good cards with you. Another aspect about this game that I'm not so sure how I feel about, because it can be positive or negative, is the quality of materials, what do we have inside. So we can see that the player mats are actually like single layered, or the components itself, like the ants, are just like colorful generic cubes that you'll be able to move from one place to another. In one place it will be considered as a larva, and then when you put it in the meadow it will be considered as an ant. So I'm not so sure how I feel about the components. Also the art on the tile themselves, on the tiles, are not the best. It's not something that like pops. You don't feel that you're really in a meadow. What interests you the most, of course, is the collection sites, because you'll see what kind of benefit you'll be able to get from them. But the art itself and the components are basic. I can say that it's also a positive thing, maybe not about the art, but about the components themselves, is again because the size of the box. This is not something that will take a shelf place. It's not going to be something huge. This is not something that will take all of your table. On the contrary, it's something that will be small. You can play it almost on every table. You can even take it outside and play in a meadow. But this is something that I can see definitely how it can bother some people. Again, if you're looking for a game with beautiful miniatures or like a dual layered or quadruple layered components, this is not the game for you. So it has like a good thing and a bad thing. Another thing that a little bit bothered me in the game, and actually I paid closer attention to it after I received a comment from Sean Louis Shine. So first of all, thank you very much for your comment. I'm going to address this problem directly, is the way that the worker phase is ending. Because it's going to end after a second player has taken the rest action, sometimes you'll be left with other players that have more things to do but cannot do it because the round is finished. So it almost feels a little bit not so fair to them, because maybe due to good strategical decisions that they took during the round or during the game, they have more things to do, but they will not be able to execute it because other players maybe took not so good decisions or something like that, and they're going to force them to finish this round. So that can be problematic, especially at a higher player count, and especially when you have a difference between the level of players. But again, I think that we have here a very strong core game with strong mechanisms, and I cannot tell you enough how much surprised I am that such a small box, it's a little bit like an ant. It's like it's small, but it's strong and it does its work. They just managed to put a full 4X experience in this kind of game. So let's jump to the first expansion that is called Minions of the Meadow. Also here we have a lot of content, but let me start with the basics of the expansion. So first of all, we're going to have something that is called major workers. So as you can see here, each player is going to start with 2 workers that are going to be able to do different actions also. They are going to be used just like a normal worker, but the more you evolve your ants, you'll be able to do with the major worker more things. For example, you'll be able to do something that is called rally, which is just attract more ants to your place. You'll be able to, if you upgraded the head, for example, you'll be able to do something that is called push. That means that when you will move your worker, you'll be able to push an ant from a rival faction to an adjacent hexagon. And some more things that I will not spend your time for it. You will see it from the game itself. But it's something that is going to upgrade the game a lot. Another thing that we're going to add to this game is something that is called tactic cards, which is something that we'll play in combat. And then if we won in the combat, we'll be able to execute the text. It can be an event, it can be an evolution card, it can be colony goals. But also we're going to have some other modules coming with this expansion. And this is something that you can mix and mash. You can decide to use only this, but not others. We have here a module that is called Aphids. We have something that is called Parasites, which is basically an evolution card that I will play, but not on my player mat. I'm going to play it to a rival play mat, which is a little bit of a take that mechanism. Also, that doesn't speak to everyone, but here, this take that aspect is, okay, I'm going to do something that is going to a little bit either harm you or give me a benefit, but also this card, because it's an evolution card, will give you the different bonuses that you would have had with a normal evolution card. Another model will be something that is called Predators, but here we're already a little bit sailing away from the core mechanisms of the game, because we're going to have some exterior predators that are going to come to the meadow like mantis or like a spider, and are going to completely change the way that we're going to play this game. Also, we're going to have something that is called season cards, which is something that we will draw at the beginning of each round, and this is going to affect globally on how we're going to play the game, because we're going to have different restrictions or different bonuses for different actions that we will take. So already we can see here that we have so much more content to this game, which for me felt that maybe it's a little bit too much, which is also something that is a little bit weird to cry about because nobody's forcing me to use them. As I said, you can mix and match. You don't have to use all of them. You can use just maybe one or two modules that you like. For me, it was the Predators, which were okay, but the best one for me was the Parasite, which added really a cool aspect to this game. The tactic cards, which are, I think, amazing. But all in all, I felt like this expansion really sailed away from the core game, which is cool if you like it, if you really bring March of the Ants a lot to the table. If to tell you that I think this is a mandatory expansion, not really. Which brings me to the next actually expansion, the second one, which is Empires of the Earth. And here, as you can see, it's a much smaller box, and I think this is going to be only cards that are going to be added to the game. And here again we see some tactic cards, but we have a few other things. First of all, in the setup of the game, we're going to give each player 4 some sort of evolution cards, and he will have to take 2 of those. This is something that is going to kickstart, let's say, this game, because we're going to have some asymmetrical aspect to it. And after we're going to evolve the ant for the first time in that specific body part, these cards are going to be discarded. Also, we're going to have something that is called the Old Tano, which is something that we can start with or just gain throughout the game. Basically, we're going to pay to have some eggs on this card, or for every reaction, instead of taking the appropriate reaction of that specific action, we can just add more eggs to this card, and then at the right time or in the right phase, we'll be able to just take out all the eggs from this card if it's full, and then execute it, and then either discard it or keep it at our place. Another thing that we're going to add to the setup is the Queen Decree cards, which is basically like a global goal for all the players, and at the end of each round, the player who met the criteria the best will have more victory points. So already we can see that with only a few more cards, we're going to add to the game, but not change it completely like we saw with the first expansion. So for me, the second expansion, Empires of the Earth, is something that I would gladly add to every time that we're going to play March of the Ants, because I feel this is something that is going to add, but not change the game completely. Another cool aspect of the game is that you have the possibility to either have a completely symmetrical game where all the colonies are going to be exactly the same, and then it's only about maybe your skills or the cards that you drew. But if you want, you can change this game to an asymmetrical game, because on the other side of each nest mat, you're going to have different ants with different powers. So you can really have it everything from everything. You want a symmetrical game, you got it. You want a completely asymmetrical game, you got it. Just state whatever you want and let's get to work. Guys, if you've been watching the video so far, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you learned something new or if you saw something that you like, please consider subscribing to the channel and help me grow this amazing community. It will help me a lot. Like and comment on the video. If you don't have March of the Ants, let me know, what do you think about this game? Is there something that I missed maybe that you would have wanted me to talk about? If you have March of the Ants, do you feel that there is something that I missed or something that I understood wrong? Or maybe you agree with everything that I said? Let me know what is your opinion. I would love to start a Discord about it. Take care and see you next time.